to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and after 6 games without a victory, the Philadelphia Union are back in the win column with a 3-0 win over New England Revolution in Foxborough, and the Union remain undefeated on the road. Who would have seen this coming, that the Union just continue to grind out results on the road, where it's the complete opposite at Subaru Park. And, of course, we're talking about that in today's episode. We have a bunch of news to get to. We have Blunder of the Week, which I think is fantastic. It has to do with this game. And I don't know how many of you guys are on social media. I don't know how many of you guys follow New England reporters or just other reporters from around the league. But we have a very special clip to play at the end of the episode. I think we have 5 lined up total for this episode. And I guess before we get into the news, I do want to say one thing. So if you guys listened to the last episode, I didn't spend a lot of time talking about the raccoon, but my mind's completely changed. That's the greatest thing in the world. And I think it's easy to get your mind changed when you see your video appear on CNN and you see your video appear on NBC out in the Bay Area. So that was pretty cool. Myself and Skylar Hoffner both had our videos shared on those websites. I think Skylar was at a couple other places. And I'm like, okay, yeah, now I suddenly care about this raccoon. And I thought about going back to that episode and recording something at the end and said, hey, ignore what I said at the beginning of the show about this raccoon, because I got a text from Skylar late at night. He's like, dude, do you see that our videos are on CNN and NBC out in the Bay Area? I was like, no. I was like, man, people are going to wake up tomorrow morning and hear me not really care about this raccoon. And now suddenly I care just as much as everyone else. And yeah, that was pretty cool. And seeing a video appear on CNN. So yeah, I'm a big Raquinho fan. That's the name of the raccoon we're calling it, right? Raquinho, and his Topps card and all the different shirts that people are getting made for him. So yeah, huge Raquinho fan. Love that raccoon. And should he replace Fang? Should the Union adopt a second mascot? Who knows? But I'm certain that I care very deeply about this raccoon. And then the second thing I wanted to bring up actually had to do with this game. I have to give a shout out. And I have to give a shout out to Kyle and Julian and Jose Nunez. With those 3 and myself, we were the only ones to ask Jim Curtin questions after the New England Revolution game. And yeah, that was pretty special because all 4 of us are freelance guys. We're all independent. None of us work for a major outlet. And to see nobody else in there raise their hand, nobody from the major papers in the press conference. And well, it's pretty cool that it was just us 4 leading the way with questions, and Jim Curtin was in a happy mood. And well, I think I have pretty good audio. I think you guys would probably say I have pretty good audio. So I asked Jim Curtin my question, and before he even answered my question, this was the first thing he said in his opening statement.
Well, first off, Todd, that is the cleanest microphone I've seen on a press conference question in my 10 years as coach here. So congrats on that.
So I can guarantee you my microphone is nowhere near as good as Todd Lewis's, so bear with me.
That was impressive. I thought I was talking to LL Cool J from like the 90s. Wow.
So yeah, I thank you, Jim, for the compliment. And yeah, when am I going to get sponsored by Rode? That's the recording equipment I use, the mics that I use, like everything that I use. Even when I go into the locker room and interview players, I have Rode mics with me too. You would think with the amount of equipment I have by Rode that I'm getting sponsored by them, but I'm not. So we need to find a way for somebody at Rode to hear Jim Curtin pay that compliment to me using Rode products, and maybe Rode will sponsor me, because if you guys watch my videos on social media or Substack, you'll see the little Rode emblem when I'm holding my handheld mic. And it's good audio. And so thank you, Jim Curtin, for acknowledging that I put a lot of money, a lot of time. I take what I do serious. And so to hear Jim Curtin say, reminded me of LL Cool J. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So thank you, Jim Curtin, for that. And yeah, it was just really cool for, like I said, all four of us, Jose, Kyle, and Julian, and myself, just to lead the way with questions, and to be the only ones that were asking questions and actually showing up. So it was really, really cool. And I appreciate Jim Curtin just being in a good mood. And I guess that's what happens when you win games. But anyway, 6 minutes talking about all that nonsense. We have news to get to. So let's get straight into the news. All right. So about 4 points I want to bring up. We'll save the more important stuff for the end. First off, Nashville SC have announced that they have fired Gary Smith as the club's head coach. Gary Smith was the first manager in team history. He was in Nashville for 2 years in the USL Championship with Nashville and 4 seasons in MLS play. He went to the playoffs 6 straight years between USL Championship and then MLS. 4 straight years of being in MLS. And we know last year that Nashville had reached the League's Cup final and lost to Inter Miami. And Gary Smith's record in all competitions for Nashville was 64, 46, and 53. And I get it. Nashville fans were tired of seeing defensive soccer. You know, it wasn't the greatest of soccer at times. A team that loves sitting in a low block. A team that wants to hit you on the counterattack. And yeah, that kind of soccer gets stale. And especially you look at some of the results at home. Obviously, they lost to the Union, 1-0 victory, a lot of draws, a lot of ties the last few months. And it's not been an enjoyable time whatsoever for Nashville fans. And their fans on social media had been calling for Gary Smith's job for a while now. And the fans finally get their way. Gary Smith out as manager in Nashville. And, you know, I think something has to be said. You know, a brand new team, a new coach in a new league going to the playoffs 4 straight years. And it's pretty impressive, especially for a team that loved to trade away all the international roster spots, a team that, you know, didn't hit a lot of home runs when they were signing attackers. And this was a team that relied heavily on Hani Mukhtar, but making the playoffs 4 straight years, it's pretty impressive. And I believe Nashville has 3 playoff wins since they've been in MLS. Not bad. I mean, look how long it took the Union since 2019. That's the first time the Union picked up the first MLS playoff win against New York Red Bulls. And so, you know, I get it. You want to see more attacking soccer. You want to see better results. And Nashville decided it was time to move on from Gary Smith. So point number 2 that I want to bring up is Daniel Gazdag has been called up by the Hungarian national team for the Euros. And so Daniel and Hungary will take on Switzerland on June 15th, Germany on June 19th, and Scotland on June 23rd. And when you look at it, you know, people are going to say, yeah, Switzerland and Germany should be the 2 teams that are going to get out of this group. But I would say not so fast, because Daniel Gazdag and his Hungarian national teammates have been in good form the last couple of months. We've seen them have victories over Germany, victories over England. You know, they've drawn against Germany. They're going to be a tough team for any team in this group. I don't think it's a walk in the park as some people may think. And as much as, you know, it sucks for Union fans to miss Daniel Gazdag for an extended period of time in the summertime, it's very possible that they could miss Daniel Gazdag for even further than the group stage, because I do have confidence in this national team getting out of this group. I wouldn't be surprised, you know, depending on how the brackets line up. I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if we see Hungary maybe win a knockout game. There's a very hungry team, and no pun intended. So, yeah, as much as it hurts, as Union fans not having one of their best players, a player that's been in terrific form the last, 2 months, it seems like now, as much as it hurts having that guy not be with the team, you know, this is a huge honor to go and represent your country at a huge international tournament. And remember, when the Union brought in Daniel Gazdag, he had to miss the Euros with Hungary because of an injury. And so now he gets to go and have his chance with the national team once again in a major tournament, and hopefully, just impress the country and go as far as they can possibly go. And I don't know. I mean, would it be crazy to say that Hungary win the whole thing? I think so, but I don't know. Anything could happen. I think there's a very good team that people shouldn't sleep on. And like I said, I mean, they're a very hungry team. But point number 3 that I want to move on to is LAFC have signed 37-year-old Oliver Giroud from AC Milan through 2025 with an option for 2026. And so Oliver Giroud is the all-time leading scorer for France with 57 goals. He's a one-time World Cup winner in 2018, a one-time UEFA Champions League winner in 2021 with Chelsea, one-time UEFA Europa League winner in 2019, one-time Italian Serie A winner in 2021, one-time French Ligue 1 winner in 2012, four-time English FA Cup winner in 14, 15, 17, 18. So the point I'm making is this guy's a winner. You look in his appearances in the Champions League, 24 goals, 9 assists, and the Europa League, 15 goals, 5 assists. In the Premier League, in 255 appearances, 90 goals, 31 assists. In Serie A, 37 goals, 17 assists. So again, the point I'm trying to make, like, this guy's a winner. He knows what it takes to win trophies. And LAFC are a team that you can never discard. They're a team that knows how to get to finals. They know how to win knockout competitions. And you add a player of Giroud's pedigree. Yeah, he may be 37 years old, but you can have all these players around him doing the dirty work. And I think this is a fine signing for LAFC. Yeah, they might sit in 5th place right now. 6 wins, 4 losses, and 3 draws. 24 goals for 19 against on 21 points. And yeah, maybe you would expect LAFC to be a little bit higher up there in the Western Conference, but they're a team. They're a team that can attract star players, and they have Hugo Lloris, another winner with France, winning the World Cup. You add his buddy Olivier Giroud, and I think the signing is just going to take LAFC to the next level, which is a hard pill for Union fans to swallow, for maybe MLS teams to swallow. That this team just continues to get better, that they continue to attract top talent, and we'll see how far France go in the Euros this year. You expect Olivier Giroud will be with that squad, so who knows when he'll make his debut in MLS play, but hey, we know he's coming, and he'll be an exciting player to watch in this league without a doubt. But the last bit of news I want to talk about before we get into the New England Revolution versus Philadelphia Union game is last week, MLSPA, they released the spring salary information for the 2024 season. And so before we get into Union players specifically, I just want to go ahead and tell you guys the top 10 highest paid players in MLS. And so you have Messi making $20 million a season, Insigne making $15.4 million a season, Busquets making $8.7 million a season, Shaqiri making $8.1 million, Giroud making $6.7, Bernardeschi making $6.2 million a season, Emil Forsberg making $6 million a season, Hector Herrera making $5.2 million a season, Hani Mukhtar making $5.2, and then Carlos Heel making $4.4 million. There's your top 10. Paying Messi, we all knew, a ton of money. Busquets getting paid $8.7 million. A little bit absurd in my opinion, but look, you want to get Messi's friends to come and play, you got to pay them some money. Unless you're Jordi Alba, who is the highest paid left back in MLS, making $1.5 million. But the thing that I was most curious to see, okay, where's Kai Wagner going to rank amongst all left backs in the league? Well, he's the second most paid left back in the league, making $1 million. And so Kai Wagner getting paid what he's worth, a top left back in the league. And finally, he's up there making top money. And I think it is well deserved. And then for goalkeepers, Andre Blake's the 3rd highest paid, making $919,000. You have Berkey leading the way with just over $1 million. And so those are the little points that I wanted to bring up real quick. So we want to go ahead and quickly talk about what some Union players are making. I'll leave a link in the show description so you guys can see exactly every single Union player but Andrew Rick and Kevin Sullivan, because by the time that these numbers got released, the Union didn't have, or I should say, the MLSPA Union, and didn't have the information out there for Kevin or Andrew Rick when they signed their deal. So we'll get an update on them in the fall time. Usually around September, they release the second salary guide for players that come into the league after the cutoff of the spring salary guide. So for the new guys, we'll go ahead and look at them. You have Marcus Anderson. He's getting paid $102,000 guaranteed. For Hamir Badesio, he's getting paid $97,000 guaranteed. For Isaiah LaFleur, who's out with an ACL injury, he's getting paid $80,000 a year. For Sanders Ngabo, he's getting paid $87,000 a year. Nick Pariano, who they signed to a homegrown contract this year, getting paid $76,000 a year. Andrew Rick, like I said, no information available for him. Oliver Semmle getting paid $106,000 a year. And David Vasquez getting paid $87,000 a year. So that's it for all the new players that the Union brought in this season. Again, no information on Andrew Rick or Kevin Sullivan. We'll get that information come summertime. Yeah, there's reports out there that Kevin's going to be making $500,000 a year. We know it's the richest homegrown contract ever giving out in MLS. And again, we'll see what exactly he's making of this season. But some interesting numbers here. Ty Barubo going to have Union fans just flipping out. $760,000 guaranteed. From last year to this year, his guaranteed went up about 7%. So he was making $710,000 last year. Now he's making $760,000. So he gets a $50,000 pay bump. Crazy. Making that much money sitting on the bench. I think every single person listening to this podcast right now, all right, you don't have to do anything other than training. You get paid $760,000. I think everybody here would definitely sign up for that. Alejandro Bedoya is definitely one of those that is interesting. We know we signed to a 1-year contract this year. Last year, he was making just over $1 million. Now this year, he's making $449,000. Took a 57.5% pay cut this year to return to the Union. A huge pay cut for Alejandro Bedoya. But look, the Union got the deal done, and I think Alejandro is still up there with one of the Union's best players. We talked about Andre Blake being the third highest goalkeeper. Another player who, I wanted to look at was Jesus Bueno's new contract that he signed last year. We didn't have the numbers for how much he was getting paid at the start of this new contract. We know that he was making $185,000 last year. He's up to $312,000 guaranteed. So that's up 68.6%, making over $127,000 extra for a player that's hardly featured this year as well. Again, all this information available in the show description, and I'll leave a link to the guide that Jose Nunez made. It's very, very helpful. Jose spent a lot of time making this list. Another player, like we said, Kai Wagner, I was very interested to see how much exactly he got paid, making a little bit over $1 million this year, where he was making $701,000 last year. Big money for Kai Wagner. Mika Ur, I think this will interest people, making $1.9 million last year, making a little bit over $2 million this year. So it's a 5% increase, and fans, I don't think, would be happy with that at all, because fans expect him to score a lot more goals. But I think Mikel's arguably put together these last 3 games one of the best stretches we've seen maybe ever from Mikel. Yeah, he's not scoring goals, but his link up play, his hold up play, he's doing a really good job with his runs and being a team player. But I get it. Some of you guys are going to say, yeah, that's great and everything, but what about the goals? And yeah, the goals obviously haven't been there right now, but I think they are coming. Look, the good thing is the Union are still finding ways to score goals. Julian Carranza, Daniel Gazdag, both getting on the score sheet against New England. And we'll touch on that here in a little bit. Any other players that I forgot to mention? I guess homegrown players, if we want to look at that. Ned Harriel's getting paid the most money out of the homegrowns this season, $262,000, followed by Jack McGlynn getting $226,000. Then in third is Brendan Craig getting $172,000, and Brendan Craig's not even here with the club. Quinn Sullivan getting paid $153,000. He's a player who I think him and his agent would definitely be negotiating a new contract to get him more in line with Jack McGlynn and Nate Harriel because of the fantastic season that he's had this season so far with the Union. Looking at the Union's 3 DPs and Mikhail Uhre, Daniel Gazdag, and Julian Carranza, we talked about Mikhail making over $2 million. Daniel Gazdag's at $1.7 million. And then Julian Carranza's at exactly $1 million. And he only got $50,000 more, a 5% increase from last year, making $950,000. And I know it's crazy saying he only got an extra $50,000. Insane to even say that. But for arguably the Union's best striker, getting paid less than Mikhail Uhre, it's crazy. That is absolutely insane to me. The Union have 5 TAM players: Kai Wagner, Andre Blake, Jack Elliott, Ty Barubo, and Jacob Glesnes. And it's no surprise that Jacob Glesnes is getting paid the most out of all those players with $1.1 million, followed by Kai Wagner, Andre Blake, Jack Elliott's getting $893,000, and Ty Barubo at $760,000. Insane. So, yeah, that's basically everything that I wanted to bring up. Again, I'll leave a link in this show description for you guys to see. The Union are paying the 24th highest salaries in the league. They're paying more than Charlotte, San Jose, Real Salt Lake, Montreal, and St. Louis. And I'd imagine once the reported numbers of Kevin Sullivan and Andrew Rick come out, then that will probably put the Union up there higher than a couple other teams. You have Minnesota, Orlando, and Columbus, the 3 teams that are higher than the Union in the next 3 spots. So again, a lot of good information here. I know that maybe it was all over the place, but yeah, I just thought, these numbers were interesting, and I think it's just very important to see how much money the Union are paying some players and paying money to players that really don't feature, players that are out on loan, because yes, the Union are still responsible for paying their salaries. So a lot of good stuff here. Link in the show description for the 5th or 6th time now that I've mentioned it. But let's go ahead and talk about the New England Revolution versus Philadelphia Union match, which we all know the Union won that game 3-0, and a lot of good. But I think we can't discredit the red card in this game. That played a huge factor. Ryan Spaulding, the left back for New England in this game, got sent off in the 14th, 15th minute, I believe in the 14th minute. And that played a huge factor. A huge blunder by him. He takes a bad touch. Mikhail Uhre runs on to the loose ball. Mikhail's going to be one-on-one with the goalie, but then Ryan Spaulding catches up to Mikhail and fouls him from behind. It's a clear and obvious red card. And one thing that surprised me, and maybe this is a pride thing from Caleb Porter, I'm not sure exactly what to call it. You would think that, all right, you're down a defender, you're going to make a substitution right away to get your back line intact, because New England were playing 4 in the back, and Caleb Porter opts to, just stay with 3 defenders, playing with Nick Lima, Xavier Arriaga, and Henry Kessler. You had Mark Anthony Kaye every now and then dropping back as one of the left backs. Mark Anthony Kaye and Matt Polster were the 2 holding midfielders for New England. But it was just very interesting that Caleb decided to ride out with just 3 natural defenders for the whole first half, and then up until the 50th minute is when he made his first choice sub of DeJuan Jones, their left back, to go back to a back 4. But I don't know. I mean, you give up a goal to Julian Carranza, you give up a goal to Daniel Gazdag in the 47th minute, you're down 2-0. Now you decide, all right, let's go back to our back four instead of playing with three, having Mark Anthony Kaye fill in every now and then, because it was a mess. It was a really hot mess. And the first goal that the Union score with Julian Carranza, Kai Wagner wins the 50-50 ball after a clearance by New England's goalkeeper. Kai Wagner beats Nick Lima, their right back, to the 50-50 ball. And so now that just leaves you Arriaga and Kessler in the back. And the Union's front three do a really good job just breaking, finding the space. Jack McGlynn and a whole bunch of space on the left-hand side of the field, and picks out a perfect cross to the back post to Julian Carranza. And, there's nothing that Henry Kessler or Arriaga could have done on that play. It's just, you send your right back up there to win a 50-50 ball. He loses it. Now you don't have either outside back there. Mark Anthony Kaye and Matt Polster are late tracking back, and the Union take advantage of it. And it's a beautiful cross whipped in by Jack McGlynn. And I believe, actually, I know I did. I included that in the goals breakdown because, there was a goal. So if you haven't seen it, go check out the goals breakdown video, youtube.com/freekickpod. Then the Union, come out 2 minutes later in the second half and score with Daniel Gazdag. And again, it's poor by Matt Polster. Doesn't track Daniel Gazdag inside the 18-yard box. Makes a late run into the box. Free on the back post, can take a touch and then pick his corner, put the ball in the back of the net. It's a ball whipped in by Nate Harriel on the right side of the field. Mikhail Ua on the near post. His header goes off the post and the ball falls to Daniel Gazdag. And nobody's aware of Gazdag. Julian Carranza makes a late run in between Matt Polster and Nick Lima. Nick Lima was guarding Daniel Gazdag on that play, but then he sees the run by Julian Carranza. So that pulls Lima off of Gazdag and leaves Gazdag free on the back post. Matt Polster's just sitting there the whole time, just not tracking any runs. The third goal that Daniel Gazdag scored for the Union, a little bit of a similar thing. Matt Polster doesn't track the run, just allows Daniel Gazdag to go from the midfield inside the 18-yard box. Gazdag takes a touch, picks his corner. And, watching that, I think I would have been upset if I'm a New England fan seeing that, my midfield twice in this game just didn't track runners, just allowed a player to run freely inside the box. And that tells me right there, yeah, that's a player that's just disinterested, a player that has no character, has no heart, that doesn't care. And maybe these players are playing to get Caleb Porter sacked. I don't know if that's true or not. The players, of course, would never admit that, but that is kind of what it looked like in this game. Coming into this match, and I wrote about it, this was a game where I said it on the podcast, that this is a game that the Union have to win. New England, the worst team in MLS. 2 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw. 8 losses coming into this game, 9 being to the Union. Yeah, this was a game that the Union had to win. Yeah, they're going on the road, but they've been fantastic this season on the road. And just watching just how little this New England team cared. Yeah, I'd be pissed if I'm a New England supporter. You saw complete domination by the Union's midfield. They absolutely overran the midfield of New England. Yeah, there were a couple chances with Dylan Barrero, especially towards the end of the first half. Oliver Semmle comes up with a huge save. He saves it with his leg. And I think, if Dylan Barrero scores that goal, it's definitely 1-1. And, now the momentum goes New England's way because, hey, look, we can get a goal, a man down. We just got a goal, a man down. And that's going to instill confidence. And don't you think that that's going to just suck the wind out of the Union's sails? Probably. Because we've seen them giving up goals in the last 15 minutes this season 7 times. And you thought, oh no, here we go again. After, the Union score with Julian Carranza, they give up a shot by Veroni. It's a save by Oliver Semmle. Good save. And then right before the half, you have a huge chance with Dylan Barrero. Sneaks in between Nate Harriel and Jacob Glesnes and It's a huge save. It's a huge save. Good job by Oliver Semmle for concentrating. And then towards the end of this game too, the Union are coasting 3-0. The only thing they have to play for now is that clean sheet. Arriaga gets a free shot on goal in the 98th minute, and Oliver Semmle comes out with a huge save off of a corner kick. It's a huge save to deny Arriaga by Oliver Semmle. And I think, maybe that gets overlooked a little bit because the Union were winning 3-0. And okay, if you give up a goal, it's 3-1, you're still going to win the game. It doesn't matter. But I'd argue that it does matter because this defense can say, hey, look, we're going to give up shots. We're going to give up chances, but we can trust Oliver Semmle to have our back. And he came up with 3 huge saves this game. 2 huge saves in stoppage time of the first half and in the second half. And so I think not only for Oliver is that instilling confidence, but it's instilling confidence into that back line. And by the way, I do think this was the best defense that the Union could have picked with Nate Harriel, Jack Elliott, Glesnes, and Kai Wagner. That's just 4 best defenders in my opinion. And so to only give up 9 shots in this game, and again, I know the red card plays a factor into that. 3 shots on target, and your goalkeeper bails you out with 3 saves. It's really good stuff by Oliver Semmle, and I don't want that to be overlooked by fans. I don't know, if there's too many people talking about that on social media. Hopefully now this starts a conversation that this was by far Oliver Semmle's best game as a Philadelphia Union player, and to do it on the road. I think that's even more impressive. And as we all know, the Union are remaining undefeated so far. 4 wins, 4 draws, no losses. And so I asked Jim Curtin after the game, they've always been a tough team to play against on the road, the Union, that is. And through 8 games, they've stayed undefeated. And so, is there something different that Jim Curtin's seeing in this group prior to teams of the past? In 2019, the Union went 6-8-3 on the road, 4-4-4 in 2020, the COVID year, 3-5-9 in 2021, 7-5-5 in 2022, 5-8-4 in 2023, and now they're currently unbeaten. And so I don't know. This team's always been hard to play against on the road, but it just seems like there's something different, especially when you look at this team at home. And this is what Jim Curtin had to say.
I think, winning games on the road in this league is really, really hard. Winning any game in this league is really hard, as we've learned, right? So the locker room was, tense, anxious, a little bit more pressure than usual, because let's be honest, in the last 5-6 seasons, we haven't had a tough stretch like we've had over the last couple games. And it kind of came quick, right? With some Saturday, Wednesday games and results that went against us and we didn't have time to recover. Sometimes it is good to, go away. I'm not saying that there's less pressure when you're on the road, but you're not expected to dictate the game and be on top of teams like we usually are at home. So maybe it was good for the guys. And I think you saw tonight, that we're still a really good team. I said it to the guys before, we're at our best too, and we're having fun, we're smiling, we're happy. And that tension, was kind of gone, tonight. So I think you saw a lot of good plays. I think you saw a lot of, good possession, good attacking moments, good defensive moments, and, a clean sheet. So again, a big game from Oliver as well. He made a couple key saves in that first half, when we're up a man where it could have gone either way. So everybody has to be on the same page, Todd, to get a result on the road. And I think that, we executed for the 90 minutes, which was important.
Yeah, and I agree with Jim Curtin. They executed for the full 90 minutes. Yeah, they still gave up chances, which isn't great, but the team stayed together. Oliver Semmle, Jim Curtin gave him the shout out. I just got done talking about Oliver. He was big, and that instills such confidence in the rest of the team, not just himself, that, hey, look, I can make the saves in the big moments. And those were huge moments. The Union literally scored and give up a chance to New England. New England, to their credit, go right down to the Union's half of the field and have a chance with Veroni right before the half. Barrero has a chance, and that's a huge save. I'd argue that's a game-changing play right there, because what happens then? New England go into the half 1-1, all the momentum's with them. The confidence starts to sink from the Union. You heard him say that, yeah, we were tense. And I didn't feel the tension in this game after the win. And so hopefully this is something that the Union can build on. Yes, I know that they're away this upcoming Saturday in Charlotte, and hopefully they get a result down there as well. But I do think that something to be said that, yeah, I know we're still so early in this MLS season. There's still a lot of soccer to be played, 21 games, I think, remaining. But the longer this team can continue to get results on the road, you don't doubt this team to go on the road come playoff time and get you a victory. I think that goes a long way. Because as things stand, the Union probably aren't going to have a lot of home games, but it's still, like I said, I know, a long season to be played, 21 games left to be played, and anything can change. But odds are you're going to have to go on the road at some point in MLS this season. I mean, look, the first game, it's best of 3, and so you have to go on the road. And so we saw the Union last year take care of business at home against New England in the first game. Second game, go into New England and get a victory again. They go into New England Saturday night and keep a clean sheet. Absolutely dominated New England. And again, the red card definitely helps, but sometimes it's difficult to break down teams that, playing a low block, which again, to New England's credit, they didn't really do that this game. And I think it's a little bit idiotic by Caleb Porter not to bring on a defender to go back to a back 4 when you're down a defender. And to the Union's credit, they take advantage of that. And again, I think that's poor managing by Caleb Porter. And it is crazy to be questioning his managing abilities because he is an MLS championship in Portland and Columbus. He's a proven winner. He knows what it takes to win championships, but it's not off to the greatest start here in New England. And their fans have pretty much told you what they think of him during the games on social media. They want him out. And again, we'll get to Blunder of the Week, which involves Caleb Porter. Great clip to play. And I think after you guys hear it, you say, yeah, what an a-hole. But what a fantastic performance by the Union on the road. Before I talk about specific players, I don't think there's anything else that I really need to bring up. Daniel Gazdag and the 2 strikers, Mikel Uhre and Julian Carranza, I think they were fantastic. This was probably the best game that we've seen from all 3 of them this year. Again, and I know Mikel didn't get on the score sheet, but his hold-up play, his runs into the box, his run into space, I thought it was really good. Daniel obviously gets 2 goals. Julian gets a goal in this game. And yeah, I mean, Jim Curtin says it all the time. When those front 3 are clicking, they're going to take this team extremely far. This team's going to go as far as that front 3 will take them. And Daniel Gazdag and Julian Carranza broke history after the game, being the first duo in MLS history to score in 16 different games, passing Toronto's Sebastian Javinko and Jose Altidore, who had 15 coming into this game. It's a big feat right there for Julian Carranza and Daniel Gazdag to break. I mean, fantastic players, and it's good just to see them clicking. It is very good to see all 3 of those players clicking, all 3 of them on the same page. And Daniel Gazdag has been in, I think, maybe the greatest form that we've ever seen him in with the Union, or maybe during this long of a stretch. I know obviously he scored those 22 goals in 2022 when he was up there as an MVP candidate, and obviously, wasn't included in the final 3, should have been, but it's neither here or there, can't live in the past. Daniel Gazdag now has 9 goals in his MLS season in 2024 for the Union. He has 7 in his last 9, which is fantastic. 7 goals in your last 9. I mean, he's just been in red hot form, and I think he's going to be hoping to carry that form into the Euros with Hungary. He's playing right now at a level where he's giving the national team head coach something to think about, that, hey, look, maybe I should be included into the starting lineup. Look, I'm scoring goals, and you need players that are in hot form. And there's no denying that Daniel Gazag's in hot form. And He's tied for fourth most goals in the league with New York Red Bulls' Lewis Morgan. Like I said, 9. Chicho Arango leads MLS with 13 goals. So, yeah, Daniel Gazdag continued to ride that rave. And he's scoring goals from open play. You know, the talk last year was like, oh, all this guy does is score goals from the penalty spot. He can't score a goal from open play. Well, he proved it against New England. And I know there's still going to be some haters out there that say, well, it's a man down, blah, blah, blah. And I get it. There's just some people that don't like Daniel Gazdag. Can't convince you otherwise. But another thing that I noticed actually watching this game, and I don't know how many of you guys have noticed this too, I think Daniel Gazdag and Julian Carranza are both very similar players, where both of them will drop into the midfield and then make late runs inside the 18-yard box. They both don't mind playing as a 10. And I know Julian Carranza is a striker by trade, but if you watch him during games, he's constantly dropping into the midfield, wanting to get onto the ball, linking out with his teammates. And so when he drops, Daniel Gazdag pushes up for it. And so that's why a lot of people say that Daniel Gazdag is more of a false 9 or a second striker than he is a number 10, which I'm not disagreeing with. And that's why fans also say, you know, we want a more creating 10. But if the Union, specifically Carranza and Gazdag, can, you know, find a way for that to work, where, all right, Carranza's going to drop, Gazdag goes up into that space. If they can find ways to get into that space, I think it works. Playing all three of those guys, playing two players that are pretty similar in playing styles. Obviously, Julian's a more clinical finisher, but it is interesting. Watch that next game against Charlotte, guys. Watch how often Julian Carranza drops in playing as a number 10 to collect on the ball, playing deep, and then making those late runs into the box. I mean, it's a very similar movement to what Daniel Gazdag does. So I think that's one thing that I picked up on that, you know, I noticed, but I think I noticed it a lot more this game than I have all season for the Union. But Leon Flach, he played this game. He started his second consecutive game. It was his third start of the year. And what a performance by Leon Flach. What a performance. And you had Leon start as one of the outside eights with him and Bedoya. And then Jose Martinez gets injured in this game because he took a shot to the chest. Jim Curtin said that Jose talked about, you know, just feeling some chest pains. And so the Union wanted to be proactive and get him out of there, make sure that it was nothing serious, because God forbid something happens with his heart or something. You know, you don't want that to happen. So if he's complaining about chest pains, you get him out of there right away. And so that meant that Leon Flach had to drop to the 6, and then Jack McGlynn came into the game, who we'll talk about here specifically after we talk about Leon, and played as an 8. But this is what Jim Curtin had to say about Leon Flach's performance.
We used Leon on that side. The plan was to use him on the left side of the diamond because Carlos Gil drifts over to that area all the time. And he's, let's be honest, the best player that's on the field tonight. So Leon was around him from the start. I think he did a good job on him. What people maybe don't see, I don't know if it always comes off on TV, but I see it every day in training. He closes the ball down and takes the last step quicker than any player I've actually ever seen. You know, his ability to get pressure to the ball, make a deflection, a block, a steal is really impressive. So big night for Leon. He did a great job. McGlynn came into the game, I thought, and changed it as well with his passing. So a lot of really good performances and a lot of good, you know, accolades to go around. But certainly Leon on that turf, he's even quicker, you know, and did a great job for us defensively tonight, because it's not an easy task. When Carlos Gil, he has a way of baiting you in, and he gets you to cheat, and he acts like he's going to go to his right foot, but he really never does, but almost never does. And he gets onto that left foot, and then he can play through balls, he can shoot, he can cross, and he's a real weapon. So we did a good job of getting 2 or 3 guys around him a lot tonight, but certainly Leon made a lot of big plays, making him uncomfortable.
Yeah, Leon Flach was excellent. I mean, when you have a specific role, you heard Jim Curtin say it there, that we wanted him playing on the left side of the diamond because that's a space on the field that Carlos Gil likes to occupy. And they thought, okay, it's going to be best to put Leon Flach out there to basically mark him the whole game. And once Jose Martinez goes out injured, your plan changes. And Leon Flach was just as good playing as a lone six as he was playing as one of the eights. And I'm glad Jim Curtin brought this up because a lot of fans say, oh, what does Leon Flach offer to this team? Why is he on this team? Get him off the team. And Jim's 100% correct. His closing down of the ball, the pressure he puts on, I wish that Football Reference still tracked pressure numbers because I'm sure that Leon Flach was up there last year, number one on the Union. I'm sure, the more starts he has, he's going to be right back up there with that spot. Because I remember looking at this a couple of years ago, the player on the Union's team that pressured the ball the most was Brendan Aronson. And so once he left, the Union really didn't have a player like him. Yeah, Jamiro Montero was that a little bit when he was playing as an 8, but then when he played as a 10, he really wasn't putting that much pressure on the ball that he was as an 8. And that's when Leon Flach came in. And Leon Flach was essentially Brendan Aronson, but without the offensive numbers. And so I think that's huge, especially for a team that's been conceding so many goals the last couple weeks. That's why I think the formation of Jose Martinez, Bedoya, and Flach work. I think that's why we've seen it so many times the last couple years because they do the dirty work. They do the work that fans don't give players credit for. And because you have these 3 players running around like headless chickens that are going to chase down the ball like maniacs, that instills confidence in the defenders, knowing that, look, these guys are going to work hard for us in front of us. They're going to protect us for as long as they can. They're going to track back when they need to track back. And I'm not saying that you don't get that with Jack McGlynn or Quinn Sullivan, but Leon Flach's defense first. And it allows Kai Wagner to push up further up the field because Leon's going to drop back and provide cover. And so Kai Wagner, one of your more creative players, you have somebody that's going to drop back, play defense for you. That's fantastic. It allows Kai to, have that confidence that, look, if we give away position, I know I have Leon back there to provide the cover for me. And Kai talked about a couple of times last year where Jack McGlynn was getting a run of games. And he said, yeah, now Jack McGlynn is starting to understand what Leon Flach was doing, staying back when I push up. And it's about building that chemistry. And so you saw that chemistry between Leon and Kai on full display against New England. And I would not be opposed to seeing more Leon Flach at the 6 if he can play as well as he did against New England, because Jose Martinez hasn't been in the greatest of form this season. A couple giveaways that have led to goals. A lot of, players are dribbling by him, running by him. And I think, okay, if Jose Martinez needs a breather for a couple games, then you feel confident throwing Leon Flach out there. And so I do think that was Leon's best game of the season. There's a reason why I made a highlights tape of some key plays from Leon in this game. Of course, yeah, he doesn't do it offensively for you. But again, like I said, when you're a team that's conceding as many goals as Union have been all season long, you got to find ways to shore up that defense. And if you got to play more defensive players, then so be it. And it worked against New England. But then the next player who I want to bring up, who I feel so bad not giving him man of the match, because it's obvious once Jose Martinez went off the field that this guy made a difference. He made a huge difference. And my question is, would Jack McGlynn have had this big of an impact if Jose Martinez didn't go off injured? Would the offense have broke out as much as they did if Jose Martinez played majority of this game? I don't know, honestly. But for 62 minutes, Jack McGlynn completely dominated the field. He had the assist to Julian Carranza, created 2 more chances after that, and he played 14 passes into the final third. Again, I say this all the time when I'm talking about Jack McGlynn. He's a player that loves to play forward. He's a player that loves to create. And so you kind of run into that dilemma. If Jose Martinez is in good form, if Alejandro Bedoya stays in good form, if Quinn Sullivan stays in good form, if Jack stays in good form, if Leon Flach stays in good form, you have a dilemma in the midfield. Who do you play? And then there's Jesus Bueno, who can't even sniff game action. And this is a good problem to have for a coach, to have multiple players in good form. And so it's up to Jim and his coaching staff to figure out, all right, how do I utilize these guys? How do I make sure, number one, we continue not to concede goals, but also getting our best players on the field so they can dictate the flow of play. And Jack McGlynn provided just that against New England.
With McGlynn, look, guys, I see it every day in training. He's special. I know he was mad that he didn't start tonight, and that's natural, and that's how I want my players to be. He's been one of our top players on the season for sure. I just thought third game of the week with 120-minute game, a busy game in our last one where he was active again. Just wanted some fresher legs in the midfield, so 3 or fresher guys. But Jack played great. He did a great job of controlling the tempo of the game. He's excellent at when does the game need to be sped up? When does it need to slow down? You can give him the ball under pressure. He's got 3 or 4 outs now where he's very deceptive to get the ball from one side of the field to the other. Players can't just sprint at him to steal the ball because now he is a little deceptive and can kind of dribble around them and get out of trouble. So incredible player. I think he can play anywhere. I would prefer to see him in an attacking league just because he's got such an ability to unlock a defense. So we'll see. PSV would be a great fit at some point at the top team in a great league like Holland where they pass and they move for each other. But he can play anywhere. I really believe that. Germany, Italy, whatever it is, I think he can adjust to the level because his quality and talent is so high.
Yeah, and that's not the first time that Jim Curtin has mentioned PSV. And I think, you will probably start seeing even more links with Ernie Stewart there now. And we've seen a couple of national team players with the US there, and they had a big season this year with PSV. And so I would not be surprised whatsoever if Jack McGlynn winds up in that league at some point. And he's a fantastic player. And we continue to see it week in, week out. There's a reason why he's going to go to the Olympics with the national team. And I said it a couple episodes ago, if he has a big tournament, I would not be surprised if Jack McGlynn sold in the summertime this year. He's a big talent. And Jim Curtin keeps telling us that. And again, how do you get all these midfielders in at the same time when they're all in good form? It's a tough decision for Jim Curtin and his staff to have. And I thought it was really, really obvious where Kai Wagner had the most touches on the team with 100. And then you had Jack McGlynn, who had the second most with 80. It was so telling that the Union's game plan was get Jack McGlynn, get Kai Wagner on the ball, get our 2 most creative players on the ball. And that's exactly what those guys did. More so, I think, McGlynn creating chances. But what a performance by both Jack McGlynn and Liam Flach. And I don't know. I mean, what do you do if you're Jim Curtin? I think you ride the hot hand. You play, if Jose Martinez is healthy, you play Leon Flach as a 6. You play Jack McGlynn as the outside 8. Quinn Sullivan's been in fantastic form. I think Bedoya's also been in good form too, which I'm a little bit surprised that he played all 90 minutes once again, especially on the turf. But that's a credit to Bedoya for being in that good of shape at 37 years old, still being one of your best players. We heard Jim Curtin say that after the DC United game. Fantastic player Alejandro Bedoya is. So it's tough decisions for Jim Curtin and this coaching staff. And I don't know how you get all these midfielders on the field, but you've got to find a way. And so you guys already know my 3 stars on the night. Number 3, Leon Flach. 36 out of 43 completed passes, 84%. 1 chance created, 2 tackles, 1, 4 interceptions, 6 ball recoveries, 6 out of 11 duels, 1. Number 2, Jack McGlynn. And I feel, like I said, so bad not having this guy number 1 because he played 62 minutes. He came off the bench and he had a fantastic game. 1 assist, 3 chances created, 59 out of 66 passes completed, 89%. 1 out of 3 shots on target. A lot of shots from distance, which you'd love to see. 14 passes into the final third. 1 out of 3 tackles, 1. 3 ball recoveries. and he won 3 out of 4 ground duels. Fantastic performance by Jack McGlynn. And then I give it to Daniel Gazdag. 2 goals, 2 chances created, 68 touches, 3 of them inside New England's 18-yard box. Fantastic performance by Daniel Gazdag. Also had 1 interception, 5 ball recoveries, won 5 out of 7 ground duels. And I think one thing that doesn't show up on the stat sheet is just his movement, constantly checking to the ball and then running into space, pulling guys out of position so other players can run into it. I highlighted that in the goals breakdown video for you guys to see. And I think that's a part of the game of Daniels that gets a little bit overlooked that maybe fans don't notice. And big performance by Daniel Gazdag. But let's go to Blunder of the Week. And, there was a podcast at one time that had a segment called Asshole of the Week, I think it was. And I'm like, man, that's a really good segment. I think, if that podcast was still around, they would definitely nominate Caleb Porter for that role. And so if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Sam Minton from the Blazing Musket, he covers the Revs and one of the only people that are constantly there week in, week out. And so he asked Caleb Porter a simple question, said, why isn't Dave Romney starting more games at center back, especially when you look at your team? You gave up 3 goals against the Union. Okay, I get it. You were a man down. You gave up 4 goals against New York Red Bulls. 7 goals in your last 3 games, and you started both Arriaga and Kessler. That doesn't scream great form whatsoever. And this is what Caleb Porter had to say after the game.
About a month since Dave Romney's got to start. I guess just overall, what would he have to do to kind of get back into the starting 11 and just, what would it take?
You want him in the starting 11? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm just asking.
Why? Why are you asking that?
Because he was someone who got a lot of minutes.
Is that like what the fans are saying? Or?
No, because he's got a lot of minutes, especially at the beginning of the year.
I think the 2 center backs playing well. So, anybody else who want to in the starting lineup? I mean, when you're asking that question, you're basically asking why he isn't in the starting lineup. So just ask it.
Okay, why isn't he in the starting lineup?
Because his performances early in the year weren't good enough. And Kessler and Arriaga are playing well right now. So, anybody else you want to ask about?
Okay. You all set?
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Don't skirt around it. Ask the question. We'll just read Twitter. Ask your question about Twitter.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, not good at all. I mean, we talk about a jackass. Like, what are you doing, dude? Saying at the end there, I'm glad that Sam left his recording device on when he's like, no, you on Twitter? You reading questions from Twitter? Like, no, dude. I'm asking questions that everybody's thinking. Like, people in this room are thinking the same questions. Like, don't discredit people on Twitter and saying, oh, is there anybody else you want to ask about? Arriaga and Kessler are playing good. 7 goals in your last 2 games conceded. That's playing good. What are you on about, dude? To try to just dismiss Sam's question that easily and try to embarrass him in front of all his peers. You're the one who made yourself look like a jackass, Caleb. All Sam's doing is his job. That's literally all he's doing. He's asking a fair question. He's just asking, why isn't Dave Romney playing? And you go through this whole thing trying to expose him and make Sam out to be the bad guy. No, that's not happening at all. And Caleb has had this reputation in Columbus. It's what led to him getting fired in Columbus because he has this smug asshole attitude about him. And yeah, you need to have that, I think, to win championships. But I don't know, like, dude, you're in last place in MLS. Your players look disinterested. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it looked like they were playing to get you fired. And it's a fair question. You're conceding way too many goals, so why not try something different? It's what Union fans have been asking for. Change something up because the Union are conceding way too many goals. Would Jim Curtin give that kind of response? Absolutely not. And so I'm sure we're here in a press conference or whatever. Caleb apologizes to Sam and says, "Oh yeah, the way that I answered you was rude." But nah, get out of here with that, dude. Like, you showed your true colors. You know, you're feeling the pressure, and you're gonna get run out of New England with trading reporters like that, especially when there's not a lot of people covering your team week in, week out like Sam. Unbelievable by Caleb Porter there. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow @FreeKickPod, wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick. Check out the YouTube account, youtube.com/FreeKickPod, and check out the Substack, thefreekick.substack.com. Yes. I know I realized that the last thing that I did for you guys was release the podcast. We did the goals breakdown video, the article, and now the podcast. And I know the podcast is what you guys look forward to every single week. But I do appreciate you guys reading the articles and checking out the goals breakdown video. And you guys continue to subscribe to the YouTube page. So I appreciate that a lot, seeing that you guys enjoy those videos, because, you know, I enjoy putting them together for you, showing, you know, maybe things that you guys didn't see, or, you know, just really watching what happened in the game. And you guys have been very, very kind to me with your feedback on those videos. So I appreciate you guys. And I look forward to creating more of those videos and look forward to hearing more of your feedback. And yeah, I thank Jim Curtin for the kind words, for the setup, and I appreciate you guys, all your kind words. But with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.